Oh my, this will be the longest video ever. So bear with me, those interested in railroads and trains and in Russia in winter. You're in for a trip, like for real. Moscow, no, Perm to Moscow. This is my this is my aunt who is seeing me off. Well, me and my mom. She's my mother's sister. I guess she's talking to my mom, who is in the car, and so she's outside seeing us off, waiting for the train to actually get going. We're a little bit late. So as you can see, it's pretty windy. It's not too cold for Russia. It's about -10, I believe, below 0 Celsius, of course, because that's Russia, people. Um, well, yeah, they just ended talking, as you can see. So now we'll start moving. Yay! We're going to Moscow. Bye bye. Bye bye, Aunt Galina. Bye bye. See you sometime soon. It's always a very moving moment ever since I was a kid. It was always so special when somebody sees you off at the station and waves you when the train starts moving. There's something special, something old school, old world about that moment. So these are, you can see, this is the train station called Perm the Second. Not Perm 2, as many people say, but this is like the traditional way to call it, Perm the Second. The main train station and one of the important junctions on the Trans-Siberian Railroad trail. So these are like the gray and red is the new color scheme, but the old one was actually green. So you can see that this green and yellow was the original Soviet and Russian railroad color scheme. You can see it's still the old green cars here and there. So this was like my whole childhood. Only the special trains that were like, they called them the firm, like sort of like, how do I even call that? Kind of like the special luxury trains that were running that had like their special color scheme. That could be blue, red and yellow and whatnot. They were different colors, and the tickets were more expensive, and the service was better, and the cars were better, and everything was cleaner and just generally sort of higher class than the regular trains. But all the regular trains, both local and regional and federal and whatever, they were all green. So it was like the official color scheme, and they changed it, I think, like about 10 years ago, maybe even later. So now the cars are mostly just different shades of gray and red. Well, you can see the old steamer there. Okay, so this is the car. I guess it was manufactured in Russia, because we used to have cars manufactured in East Germany. They were much better cars, I should say. They were very, very cozy inside. It was all, there was a lot of wood in the interior design, both like plastic imitating wood and real actual wood. And they were running for decades there, supplied by, of course, like the Eastern Bloc factories. Now those are obsolete. You would probably still get a chance to get into one of those cars if you're traveling in the summer, the high season, when everybody's traveling, going to the seaside, mostly to the Black Sea, and they have shortage of cars, so they can use those old cars in the summer. But that's just it. During the regular months, the regular season, you're likely to get into one of those new Russian manufactured cars, which are not bad. They're just not that cozy because it's a lot of plastic, like light color. it's okay, but it doesn't have that, hello mom, this is my mom, hi mom. Okay, let's get back to our stuff. So they're air conditioned, and like some of the stuff inside has been, you know, streamlined and all that, but there's something lacking in them, like some of that charm, I guess, and just, I don't know, aesthetically they're not as pleasing and elegant as the German cars, go figure. So I guess that's that. So you can see we're about to leave Perm. That's still the left bank of the Kama River where most of the city is located. These are the garages, like people's private garages, and we're about to cross the Kama River using one of the bridges, and we're gonna see Perm at a distance. It's gonna be, so we're gonna be leaving that behind and crossing to the right bank where part of the city is located. Not the main part, just some of the, you know, some of the residences and one of the cemeteries. It's also on the right bank. But, and also part of the Perm State Technical University campus is also on the right bank of the river. But, so you can see the river is not frozen yet, so there's a lot of ice closer to the bank, of course, but normally during, you know, in the heart of the winter season, it's all ice. So basically you can actually cross it, sometimes even by car, which is not recommended, of course, but you can if you wanted to, but why would you? It's not safe. Because it gets as cold as 30 degrees below zero, 40 degrees below zero. Sometimes that lasts for just a few days and then it gets back to whatever, minus 10. But sometimes those are extended period of cold, you know, the frost waves or whatever. So then definitely the river freezes way faster and the ice is thicker, and there's a lot of activity going on, like winter fishing on the river, like with the fishermen just sitting up there on top and, you know, making holes in the river, whatever they're called, I don't care. So now, goodbye Perm. That's my native town. That's where I lived for almost 30 years. I came to love it because there are so many memories and the people I love there, but it was never, I'll be honest, it was never a city that I truly loved and where I belonged, interestingly. Moscow has always been that city for me, and I've been, you know, even growing up, it was always like a two-city situation because my family is mostly from Moscow. So Perm was just a place where my mother, her sister, and I were living, and the rest of the family is from Moscow and Ukraine, and also a city called Tula, which is 200 kilometers to the south of Moscow. Anyway, point is, my roots are not here, so it's always like this bittersweet situation going there to visit and leaving that city, because I'm kind of glad that I don't live there anymore, but now I feel good coming back there, visiting and rediscovering it, and help, you know, sort of telling other people about it, and I feel much better. Hi mom. Yeah. Okay, I just got a message. Screw that, I'm not gonna re-record this stuff. We're just moving on with my mom and my stupid phone. So yeah, this is the car that's like would be the equivalent of like a first class sleeper, I guess. But that's not the best train, so it's like it's a blah car. So yeah. So these are the colors, like, to all the people who have been telling me, oh, I love winter, oh, it's so nice, oh my goodness, oh, snow, yeah, it's so cute, it's white, blah, blah, blah. Well, people, look out of this window. These are the colors that you see 5 to 7 months a year. Like, all shades of brown, gray, sometimes white when it's clean, and, you know, just, the trees are just basically just sticks and wood. They don't look pretty. It's boring, it's blah, it's depressing when this is all the shit you see for, like, most of the year. So I cannot get on board with your your snow and winter and Russian fairy tale excitement, because it's pretty when you look at it for whatever my vlog lasts, or if you get there for like a week or two. But I mean, like I said, living here is uncomfortable. You have to wear layers all the time. You know, I get colds all the time. It's just not nice. It may look exotic and pretty for those who live in other climate zones and who suffer from heat, and they dream of the white Christmas. But for those of us living there all the time, especially for me, who is a warm-loving creature, this is actually pretty sad and bad and whatnot. So let's move on. This is one of those, I guess, like residential boroughs of Perm. One of my friends lives there, not far from here. I guess we'll be riding by her house, literally, a little bit later. Ирина, любовь моя, это твой дом, мы где-то сейчас должны проехать. Никогда не помню, который именно, но вот, может быть, ты его сама узреешь и мне скажешь, прокомментируешь, на какой минуте и секунде мы проезжаем твой дом. Вот. Okay, that was my message to a friend of mine, Irina, who lives in one of these houses, and I never remember which one, although I stayed there and like many times. Anyway, so I just asked her to point which house that is. Unfortunately, this stupid camera, at least in the previous version of firmware, would not record sound. So this pretty tudun 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 sound is not there. I'll try and find one in my library and just put it there, but that's going to be, well, kind of artificial. Unfortunately, can't hear the real tudun tudun sound, which is really pretty. Because here in this area, and for a few hours sort of riding by train from Perm, you will be hearing this traditional old school tudun 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 sound. But then the closer you get to Moscow, which is actually 22 hours of ride away from Perm, it's almost 1,400 kilometers. So that sound is not there because the rails are, well, they're not welded together, but it's different. You don't get that sound. I just can't explain that technically in English, so screw that. But it's just that the rails are like longer extensions. So basically, you don't get tudum tudum, but instead it's just no sound or just some hum, and then every few minutes you're gonna hear like tudum 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 tudum, and then it goes away. So yeah, something like that. For those of you who care what it sounds like. So the window is not super clean, but I'm doing my best to show you the areas that are getting more rustic. Anyway, so this is the compartment, camarote, whatever, to my, hello, that's me, hola. Anyway, as you can see, it's not super perfectly clean, and also it's a transformer compartment, so it can be turned into a 4-bed compartment. So they just made it into a 2-bed for this occasion, for this trip, but it can actually be transformed into a 4-bed compartment, which is a lower class, hence not super clean and everything, but it's not so bad. If you could only imagine, back in the Soviet days, what trash I was riding on and in. Oh my god, with like broken windows, unheated during the winter, no AC during the summer, people riding illegally here and there. Well, yeah, this is now pretty and fancy, like you get slippers and whatnot from Russian Railways Company, state-owned, I guess. What isn't in my country? State-owned these days, especially. Anyways, so we're still in the Perm metropolitan area, if I may call it this fancy. and we're leaving it. And I don't know how long this is gonna last, but then there will be, during this trip, I guess, the like there will be the night part. There will be a couple of cities that we'll be riding through, Kirov or Vyatka, maybe Nizhny Novgorod as well. I mean, I'm saying maybe because I'm not sure that I filmed it. I don't remember anymore. So that's what you get. Like I said, pretty boring landscape, at least for now. And yeah, again, not much to say at this point. I'll probably cut this considerably. Yeah, well, this is the food, and that's my mom. And here it is. It's dark. It's not like night, but it just gets dark early in the winter, so it is dark. When I'm trying to shoot outside, and you know, it sucks because it's super dark. You can only see the lights in the distance, maybe. Okay, you can see nothing. You just see the Malevich black square. Okay, anyways, this is the car. Let me walk through the car. Everybody's, I guess, just the doors are locked, so people are sleeping or something. I'm not gonna sneak in. I'm a good guy. I'm a polite guy. Hello. You can see me and my Osmo. And we're trying to shoot something through the window, and we fail at that, so let's just go back. Okay, alright, that's what we're doing. Yeah, there's probably gonna be a station very soon. People are preparing to get off the train. And that's me. Yeah. I'm going back to the compartment, I think. Oh yeah, I need some sleep. Look at me. Look like shit. Anyway. Yeah. Still nothing to see outside. Probably some distant buildings. And back to the compartment, and I'm now gonna turn the lights on. Just give me some... Oh, maybe not. Maybe I just decided, ooh, let me just shoot on the other side. And on the other side, there's the same darkness. So, good job, Vasily. Shooting just, like, darkness. Well, later on, you're gonna see some, you know, bits and pieces of some cities. But that's later on. Alright. So we're moving on. Riding, yeah, you can see now some of the lights as we were approaching Kirov, or Vyatka. It's, you know, historic name. Anyways, that is where we're not even halfway, I think, between Perm and Moscow. And for those who are skimming through the video, I will just remind that these are two cities, I mean Perm and Moscow, which are 1,400 kilometers apart. Perm is located to the northeast, mostly to the east, more so than to the north of Moscow, closer to the Ural Mountains, and it's still Europe, like geographically, it's still the European part of Russia. But that's getting close to the geographic border with Asia, which is in Perm region and in Yekaterinburg region. So this is where the Ural mountain range is, and that's what separates Europe from Asia. So to those of you watching who consider Russia to be Asia, just kind of by default, just not because it's not part of Western Europe, but my friends, like a whole chunk of Russia, it's still Europe. Yeah, territorially, a lot of Russia, most of Russia is actually in Asia, but as far as important cities and, you know, the population, density and all that, Russia is pretty much in Europe, you know. Just saying. Okay, let's keep moving. So we're approaching Kirov, one of the cities on our way. So there will be more lights and a train station soon. As you can see, it's winter. Well, it's November. It's end of November. It's the 23rd of November. That's, yeah, or 24th. No, 24th. It's the 24th of November, 2016. That's where I was filming this. And this is train 109 from Novi Urengoy to Moscow, and I boarded the train in Perm, which is almost a full day or about 22 hours away from Moscow. And Novi Urengoy is 3 days away from Moscow. I mean, 3 days of train ride, something. So for us Russians, it's pretty common, or at least it used to be pretty common, because now more people choose to fly, but back in the day when I was growing up in the Soviet Union, it was more common for people to travel by train, so we're very fine with traveling for a full day or 2 days or 3 days. For example, it took us 2 days to get from Perm to Simferopol, the capital of the Crimea, when I was a kid, or 3 full days to get from Perm to Sochi, which is, you know, the Caucasus. So, and it takes over a week to get from Moscow to Vladivostok, which is the far east, very close to Japan. So Russians travel, or at least used to travel, a lot by train, and so for us, it's not weird to be on a train for this long. It's fine. We consider a day of train ride to be, you know, a fine ride. It's pretty short. Actually, I should say now, after years of not having taken the train and preferring the plane, and it's like it's a 1 hour 50 minutes flight from Perm to Moscow. I should say, if I had the time on my hands, you know, I would always go for a train. It's so much nicer without all this, you know, all the checkups and being in traffic, getting to the airport, and plus I hate flying, so it was nice. And since I hadn't seen my mother in 2 years prior to this visit, so it was great to just spend 24 hours comfortably in the compartment, nice food from the restaurant car. It was nice. Well, this is Kirov, the Kirov station. We're approaching the Kirov station. We're gonna, we're gonna spend about 20 minutes here. They will be changing the locomotive, I guess, switching it to a different type. I used to be a huge railroad fan and geek when I was a kid. Now I know way less than I used to. I've forgotten quite a lot of things, but I'm still a fan. I still love trains. I still prefer them over planes, and if I could go to places that I love going to by train, I would go anywhere by train, actually. I just love it. You can look out of the window and enjoy the views, you know, you can do sightseeing, and you can do reading and writing. It's very inspiring, because it's when you're flying, it's, you know, you're stuck in, you know, in an airplane and you don't see anything, pretty much. You can just watch movies or read or whatever, but you're not experiencing, and it's even, like, even the distance that you're traveling, when you're really doing it by train, it's more physical, if you will. You feel the distance. You see the distance that you're crossing. I mean, don't get me wrong, planes are awesome. It's just, you know, a few hours away. I mean, it takes, whatever, 8 hours from New York to Moscow. It's pretty awesome. This is 22 hours to get just from one Russian city to another. I get that. I get the whole convenience part of flying, and I know it's safe, blah, 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 blah. I'm not trying to, you know, to trash flying anyway. But what I'm saying is that, as far as I'm concerned, I really love traveling by train. There's something romantic, like inherently romantic about this type of travel. So, yeah, I mean, the reflections suck. It's not like a professional video. I'm sorry, guys, but I was just, basically my idea was to take you with me on this train ride and show you this experience is, you know, as real as it gets. So we can see a little glimpse of Kirov, one of its squares right facing the train station. Train stations in big Russian cities are still very important transportation hubs, and culturally, like the station square and everything around it is still an important and dangerous place, because you know there are a lot of criminals, you know, bad stuff happening around train stations, and areas around train stations are never the cleanest. So yeah, well, at the end of the corridor, I'm not sure you could see it very well. There's this device which provides hot water, so you can go and get some hot water anytime you want. And also, I guess part of the whole heating system. Back in the day when I was traveling, when I was a kid, most of those devices and heating systems in the cars were coal operated, so there was just charcoal there, and the train attendants would just, you know, put coal in there and make it warm and make hot water. But now it's all electricity for the most part. So yeah, well, this is the compartment again. As you can see, there are 2 beds. In theory, there could be 4, and that's me. There's no smoking. Well, it's always been like that. People used to smoke, just people used to open the windows and smoke into the windows. Well, this is what we had. Well, that's my stupid phone. These are the traditional glasses that are very characteristic of the train rides. Well, we got some Russian beers as well, to have a nice time with Mom. So yeah, as you can see, not the cleanest thing. Usually it's way cleaner. If it were a better train, it would be much cleaner. But it's not the worst. Like I said, you have no idea what I traveled in back in the day. You wouldn't even come, like, if you're from Western Europe or States or Canada or any of those first world countries, you wouldn't even, like, approach those cars, let alone ride in them. So believe you me, this is cool and fancy. So I love it. I love it. I don't care. So we're leaving Kirov and we're moving forward, closer and closer to Moscow. Yay. Well, it's dark again. Some people have boarded. I'm trying to shoot something outside of the window while there are some lights. It's very warm inside of the car, if anybody's wondering. As you can see, I'm wearing a t-shirt, and I'm, like I said previously, I'm a very warm, loving creature. I hate the cold. I'm always cold. So the fact that I'm wearing nothing but, but a t-shirt, no more layers, actually is, testimony to the quality of the heating system in the car. Actually, at some point it got too hot. We had to ask them to, to bring it down a little bit so that it would be a little cooler to sleep comfortably. But they are always concerned about people getting cold during the night, so they were kind of overkilling the whole heating thing. So, yeah. This is still Kirov. We're leaving Kirov. And let's just look at it for a while without my stupid commentary. Yep, there are some local trains here, like commuter trains, what we call commuter trains. And as you can see, Russian railroad system is really extensive and it's really important, and those are really like transportation arteries still for both transporting cargo and transporting people. It, it's like it's part of our DNA, the trains. So even though, like I said, less people choose trains because they got pretty expensive. Well, it depends on the the class of the car, of course, but still, generally speaking, for example, I will speak for like for my city and say the flight from Perm to Moscow costs almost half less. It's like 2 times cheaper to travel by air from Perm to Moscow than it is to travel by the 2-bed first class sleeping car. So the trains are actually more expensive. Yeah, there's a local train here. The trains are more expensive. And that's why I guess people, like for example, like my mom, for health reasons, she cannot fly, she cannot take a plane, so she really has no other choice but to get on a train. But some people just prefer that for the comfort of it and for the illusion, at least, of safety. Those people don't like to fly. So others, I'm not sure why. Well, this is the morning, and we're about to arrive in Moscow, and that's like the larger Moscow metropolitan area. So you can see graffiti everywhere. I'm not showing you the fancy stuff because my purpose is not to show you the scary and dirty and negative parts of my country and of the quality of life in my country. My point is just to show things as is, as I experience them, as I used to experience them when I used to live there, and now that I'm visiting, my goal is just to take you on the ride, literally, and to let you have some of that experience. So you will see the beautiful things, like those birch trees are nice, but you can also see the ugly things, which is fine, like in every other place in the world. Let's not get illusional about anything, or delusional about anything. It's just, life. It's what it is. And we're back to, again, if you missed that part at the beginning, we're back to talking about the color palette of of Russian winters, not just winters, of everything from October to April. In a big part of Russia, that's what we have. So as you can see, there are not many colors. It's pretty depressing as far as the, browns, grays, and whites, and blacks, and nothing else. So that's why, for instance, I really love bright colors in people's clothing. I love bright colors in, people's cars, which unfortunately is not a thing in Russia because Russians prefer, traditional, dark, whatever, black, metallic something, whatever, silver-ish, brownish, so not really super cool. Like in Scandinavia, for example, or in Germany, where generally in Europe, or in Canada, where in Canada not so much actually, where you can see colors in the streets, and Russians somewhat prefer to blend with the landscape, more so than to stand out from it, so, it's a choice, and that's, as you can see, it's blah. So, when the, first snow of every season is a special and exciting day, especially for kids, because you can play in the snow and it just looks very nice, fairy tale-ish, but then once it's there, you're stuck with it for months and months and months. Okay, enough of that snow rant. We're back to seeing things outside. So, more tracks as we're approaching Moscow, because normally it's a 2-track situation with, 1 track each direction, and the closer you get to Moscow, you can see there are multiple tracks, not just at the station, but just as we're going, there are more tracks, because there are commuter trains, cargo trains, passenger trains, etc., 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 you name it. So, well, just look at this. This is Russia with no makeup on. I'm not trying to look at scarier or prettier. It's just what it is. As seen from a train that's approaching Moscow, following a 22-hour ride from Perm. If you don't know where Perm is, Google it. It's spelled P-E-R-M, and it's a city with almost 1 million people living there. And also, you probably, well, you may have heard it if you studied geography and geology and history. Well, because there was a Perm period in the history of the planet, so Google that as well. Well, this is the train, one of the trains with the color scheme that I mentioned before, the grays and the red. You can see it says in Russian letters, in Cyrillic alphabet, RZD, which is Russian railroad or Russian railways. Российские железные дороги. There we go. So yay, more gray stuff outside. I'm not even color correcting this, honestly, because it may look a little blah, and I wanted at some point to, you know, give it a little color boost and make it look prettier than it is. But actually, like, color-wise, it's a pretty accurate representation of what I was seeing outside of the window or in the car. So I decided not to do that and to show you a more real picture without any fancy effects or anything like that. So we're just a few minutes away from the end of this trip. Well, I mean, I'm not going to be filming anything in Moscow, unfortunately. Why? Because I will have to carry the suitcases and to take care of the cab situation in Moscow and such. So that is why I unfortunately will not be filming the arrival at the station and, you know, me leaving the train with the suitcases and such. But, well, you can see some of the... Well, this is one of those special trains. Okay. Hello. I'm taking more videos and pictures from my cell phone as well. Yeah, not the smartest thing to do. For both, well, okay. Well, that's my friend sending me messages, thinking that I'm ignoring him, which I'm not. I'm just busy filming. Yay, we're almost, yeah, it's not Moscow yet, but it's very close. We're about 15 to 20 minutes away from Moscow, from Yaroslavsky train station, which is in the center of Moscow. So there are 2 more stations at the same location, the same square, and they're all pretty... Well, the biggest one is Yaroslavsky train station, then there's Kazan, or Kazansky train station, which is also pretty big and beautiful architecturally. And then there's a smaller one, which is Leningradsky train station, which is pretty small, very nice. So if you're traveling to St. Petersburg or that direction, then this would be the train station for you. Yep. Well, there are more train stations in Moscow. There's Paveletsky, Savyolovsky, Kursky, Rishsky, what am I forgetting? Kievsky, Belarusky train stations. I traveled from all of them. From what I know, 1 or 2 of them, maybe just one, I may be mistaken, is not a station anymore because it kind of went obsolete. Yay! We're just riding by one of those stops in the metropolitan area. As you can see, there are a lot of commuter trains. People travel to and from Moscow. A lot of the people living in the, you know, in the outskirts of Moscow, they definitely, as is the case with New York, Buenos Aires, you name it, people live outside of the city and then they travel to work, and then in the evening they travel back home. So it's the same here. As you can see, there are some factories, some of them are abandoned, some of them are not. There are also some of the depots and some of the workshops and whatnot. And as you can see, even some of the buildings and the fence, the wall that you can see, it's probably property of Russian Railways. That's why it's painted in the colors of Russian railways, which is gray and red again. And there's snow. Of course, it's a little dirty here because of the trains. You will not see white snow around the tracks. It's like slightly smoked, and you know there's mud as well. Let's face it. Well, it's pretty industrial, I know. It's not what you expect when you're thinking, oh, Moscow, Moscow. No, well, this is what it looks like when you're approaching it from a train. So, it's been a while since I arrived in Moscow on a train. It's really interesting to see a lot of things have changed in those years, and some of the things are strikingly the same as they've always been in all the years. I first took a train when I was 9 months old. My mom took me on a trip, and we were traveling anywhere between 2 to 4 times a year, always on a train. We almost never took a plane, very rarely. So, I mean, that's my cradle, basically. Almost literally my cradle when I was 9 months old. So, I never got train sick or anything. Like, I feel good on the train. I really enjoy it. Any season, especially now when everything is air conditioned and kind of fancy and modern. And some of the cars even have, like, they have shower rooms, they have internet access, some of them have LCD TV screens, and you can watch movies like on a plane. Not all, I mean, very selected trains, selected cars, of course. I'm not saying that's what you get every time you're getting on any train in Russia. But it's an option now, and you know, back in the day you didn't have that. You just have, you know, what you had was communication. You met new people. You tell them stories of your life, they told you theirs. It was beautiful, and then you could read, and you could play cards, or, you know, games, etc., etc. I mean, it was nice. It was rough at times, and unsafe at times, not gonna lie. But it was also very nice, and, like, I'm okay, I'm fine. I traveled a lot in all kinds of conditions, and I'm still there, so I'm still here. So we're about to end this trip. Thank you for watching this long-ass, not too eventful video, but I'm hoping that, you know, you experienced at least part of this ride with me, and you will get some kind of an idea of what it is to travel by train in Russia. Again, that was train 109, Novy Urengoy to Moscow, which I boarded in Perm, which was 22 hours away from Moscow, or 1,400 kilometers away from Moscow. Well, thank you. There will be more videos, more exciting videos than this one to come. Thank you for bearing with me. And yeah, I'm finishing this video. I have to go and start moving the suitcases that we had towards the exit area, and to get off the train and get on the cab and get wherever I had to get when I got there. My mom is all ready. She's wearing her hat. Alrighty, thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias. Hasta luego. Bye bye. See you soon.